Assalamualaikum and hi, you are with me again, Miss Huda. Let's look at into the problem on calculation of moment of inertia for example number 2. In this example, the section is I section, yeah. So it requires you to calculate the x-axis and y of the girder shown in the figure with respect to the centroidal x and y axis, meaning that the distance would be to the centroid ataupun center of gravity of the girder as in figure. The first thing that you have to do to solve this kind of question when it asks you to get the ix or iyy to the centroid is you need to know where is the centroid of the section, similar to example number 1. Therefore, this is the calculation for the centroid to get the x bar and y bar. For this x bar and y bar calculation, the way that I put the reference point is here. Means that the x-axis that we refer is going to be at the very top of the girder, and the y-axis that we're going to refer going to be at the center ataupun betul-betul dekat tengah girder tu. So any distance from the centroid untuk setiap section 1, 2, 3 yang kita kira must go to that axis, ya. For x bar is direct macam biasa, kita biasa buat macam ni, but for y bar perhaps I never shows you examples that kita boleh letak juga dekat tengah-tengah. But this is allowed kalau your object symmetry. Kalau objek you tak symmetry, tak boleh. And tak ada masalah juga kalau you nak letak x-axis here. Pun boleh, dekat betul-betul tengah-tengah. Sebab dia simetri atas bawah, simetri kanan dan kiri. Tapi di sini saya tunjuk satu yang saya tak letak betul-betul kat tengah-tengah. Dan satu lagi saya letak dekat tengah. So definitely kalau x bar, there is examples before in the center of gravity chapter. But for y bar, this one obviously dia akan jadi kosong, ya. Sebab semua section 1 centroid dia dekat sini. Nak pergi ke y axis, there is no distance. For section 2 pun sama. Exactly at the center. Going to y axis, no distance juga. And for section 3 pun the same case. That's why semua kat sini y barnya kosong. And bila you calculate for x bar, you will actually memang dapat centroidnya memang di sini, which is if you look at the calculation, distance dia adalah 224 mm, which is memang separuh daripada girder tu punya height. And for y bar, memang tak ada distance, ya, nak ke y-axis kosong because it is exactly at the same line as the y-axis. Next, we're going to calculate the ix for the girder. Just copy the area value from the table of that you calculate the centroid and use the formula of BD cube divided with 12 since this girder ni consists of 3 rectangles section. Sebab kita akan bahagikan like this. For rectangle, it is B and D. Therefore, Ix is BD cube divided with 12. For the first section, B is 200, D is 24 mm. Cube divide with 12. Bahagi lagi dengan 1,000,000. Okay, sebab kita nak dalam sebutan darab 10 kuasa 6 mm to the power of 4. Then you get 0.23 times 10 power of 6 mm power of 4. And for the value of H, okay, remember this is Ix. So anything mesti pergi ke centroid XX punya ya. So inilah XX punya line. Ini adalah value yang kita dapat tadi masa kita kira for the centroid daripada X axis. So basically the distance going to be from the centroid of this section 1 to centroid of the whole section, which means you can simply take 2 to 4 ni minuskan dengan half of 24, sebab di sini adalah 12 mm. So 224 tolak 12, dapatlah 212. Get the value of AH square and add these two together and you will get 215.961 times 10 power of 6 mm power of 4. For section 2, the B is 12 mm and the D is 400 ya, sebab dari sini ke sini adalah 400. Power of 3 divide with 12 and then calculate, you will get 64 million bahagi dengan million, sejuta, you will get 64 and H dia adalah kosong. Right, sebab centroid dia dekat sini untuk semua section keseluruhan ni, dan section number 2 pun centroid dia dekat point yang sama. So tak ada distance, kosong AH power of 2 kosong, then 64 is the final value for section 2. For section 3, it is similar to section 1. Since the area ni sama, so value B and D dia adalah sama, you get similar value. And for H is actually sama juga, since the centroid of section 3 is over there, okay, the one that I mark. And basically daripada atas ke bawah ni adalah 224 juga ya, centroidnya. Then we have 12 mm, since 24 bagi 2 adalah 12. So you need this distance berapa? So 2 to 4 minus 12, it is 212. So calculate sama juga and add AH square with the BD cube divide with 12, you will get this 215.961 times 10 power of 6. Add all together, it is 495.922 times 10 power of 6 mm power of 4. That is for IXX. Let's look at IYY. For IYY, remember the centroid dekat tengah ini ya. Area copy balik. So DB cube divide with 12, that is for IYY, particularly for rectangle section. So we have 3 sections here. And I'm not going to explain anymore on the DB cube. A similar process as the IXX, cuma kita tukar ikut the formula DB cube divide with 12. For H, the centroid for the first section here is going to be di sini. So basically, the line untuk centroid adalah di sini ya. So kita perlukan the horizontal distance. So basically there is no horizontal distance sebab kosong. Line-nya sama dekat centroid punya line juga. That's why dia jadi kosong. Similar to the section number 2, it is sharing the same line. And even the point pun sama. So kosong And for section 3 pun sama. It is here and it is at the line of centroid. Kosong. AH square kosong. You just take the value of TB cube divided with 12 as the value for each section here, and add all together. You will get 64.064 times 10 power of 6 mm power of 4. We are done calculating the IXX and IYY for this I girder. This is where we can compare the value of IXX and IYY, because I section is commonly used as beam. If you look at the value of IXX here, it is 495.922. And look at the value of IYY, it is much smaller than the value of IXX. That's particularly the reason why the way kita letak beam atau girder adalah dengan tegak macam ini, meaning dia adalah vertical. Kita tak letak dia like this, horizontal. Ini adalah IXX dia akan jadi 495,922 times 10 power of 6. And IYY dia adalah 64.064 times 10 power of 6. So kalau dia terbaring macam ni, dia akan jadi terbalik, which is the IXX is the same value as the IYY kalau dia vertical, which is 64.064. And the IYY will be 495.922. That's particularly the reason kalau you letak macam ni, because we know that bila beam atau girder, the main axis yang kita akan pakai adalah x-axis, kita tak pakai y-y. Sebab dia adalah horizontal member. That's why we only take into consideration the IXX. So comparing these two, you will see that the value of IXX, kalau the position is like this, is much bigger than kalau position dia macam ini. So kalau macam ini, dia tak efficient compared to this one to resist the bending. That's why I section is the most efficient in resisting the bending. And bila dia buat shape macam ni, dia dapat jimatkan materials compared to kalau you buat ni rectangular, which is the area untuk materials tu lebih banyak, lebih besar. That will be all for example number 2. Thank you so much. Have a nice day. Bye guys.